Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Hello there, how are you?
Good. How you doing? I'm Mark Allen with Gaper.io, and I'm here today with Oria Alcantara, a change management practice leader at TEK Partners in Miami. Good evening, Oria. How you doing?
I'm doing great, how are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. We got through that intro with no
I
problem.
know it's a tough name, but it's
Yeah,
easy. Just stick to Oria.
yeah, Oria.
It's easy. Yeah.
So to start with, can you tell us about yourself and your previous work experience?
Absolutely. So I'm currently a change management practice leader for Tech Partners, and basically I work with clients to help them implement change management strategies for their organizations, whether it's a merger and acquisition or whether it's the implementation of new technology or an actual cultural change that they're trying to implement in their organizations. I work with the executive leaders and their teams to sort of put together the strategy, implement, develop a really robust campaign, communication campaign for the employee base to make sure the transition is smooth and it's successful. I have been doing change management now for quite some time. My career kind of evolved. I started out as a developer and went to a project management role and into program management. I've been fortunate to work in remote situations and lead remote teams for quite some time because I worked a lot of Latin America. So I've worked where half my team is sitting in one country and the other half is sitting in another country. I was part of a team where I was sitting in one place and my leadership was sitting in another place. So I'm very accustomed to working with remote teams, and I think it's great. I am excited that the rest of the world has evolved, especially since last year because of COVID. The rest of the world is joining the bandwagon. So I think it's a great opportunity. And as a change management person, being able to work globally, whether it's in Latin America or with clients in Europe, I've had the opportunity to really leverage technology to be able to implement a lot of change programs globally and remotely.
And just out of curiosity, since you brought up COVID already, did COVID cause a lot of? I assume it caused a lot of change management for your customers.
It has. It's really been interesting because even with one of the key clients that I'm working with now, their organization, a lot of people were very focused into, you come into the office, it's traditional, and, working remote, it's kind of like, people kind of look down on that. And obviously they were all forced into it. So it's interesting that some of the leaders who were most resistant to working at home are like, oh my gosh, I get so much more done. This is so much better. It's more productive. And so I think that, it's interesting how it evolved. And now many people are struggling because they want to go back into a hybrid, environment. And I think executive leadership may not be ready for that in some cases. Mm-hmm. So they're having to all sort of start getting back into going into the traditional mode. So it'll be interesting to see. I think there'll be impacts, there'll be changes that will remain. I think it was a really great opportunity for many clients to sort of really test their contingency plans. Because everyone says, oh yeah, we have a lot of contingency, we know what we're doing. And then when that hit, they realized, oh my God, we don't have enough bandwidth, or we need this, or not enough people have equipment to work from home. And so I think it was a really interesting process to work with the team to sort of coordinate. How do you keep doing what we're doing and be successful, and sort of make the change without causing havoc?
Yeah, and it's funny because I think you're right, a lot of customers or companies thought they were prepared.
Exactly.
COVID so fast. It seemed like it was like within 2 weeks we went from everybody's into the office to everybody's home, right?
I know that was pretty scary. It was, and you're absolutely correct. And I think that it basically, everybody talks about being agile. For sure, people had to implement their agile skills, And I have to, and once again, I think the technology teams and a lot of our clients, I mean, they're the stars, right? Because they had to really hustle to make it possible and make it happen, and they did. And I think now organizations are looking at how do we leverage this from a cost savings perspective to increase efficiency perspectives. And I think there's a great opportunity. I think especially for traditional based country organizations that are used to just having everybody in in the office. And so we know we have these skills here and these skills over here. Now they're kind of looking at it and say, hey, we can leverage the skills that are sitting in California and use them, in Miami, that kind of thing. Because they're like realizing like just because an employee is somewhere else doesn't mean that we can't leverage their talent, right?
Right.
And they don't have to be on site to be able to leverage their expertise and talent. So I think that there's a lot of opportunity now to sort of become more efficient and sort of look at how are we going to sort of journey into the future of work. Because the future of work, I think a lot of it is going, that's where it's going. I mean, if you look at the millennials or the younger generation, they're, being in a company 2 or 3 years is not their plan. They're more into like, hey, how can I develop new skills and change and do something, like that's what they're focused on. And so organizations are going to have to get better at leveraging that and leveraging new skills and new talent as they grow.
And do you see your new, a lot of your clients saying, since, a year and a half ago, they're saying, hey, we now can hire anybody from anywhere. We don't have to hire somebody in our city.
I absolutely. I think there's, obviously I can't really talk about specific client situations, but I can say right now they're just in the recent, and you would be surprised because everybody's in a panic about what was going on during COVID, but they've done a lot of changes and they're hiring a lot of people that are not sitting in the traditional places, that are sitting in new, somewhere else in different cities that they had not envisioned. And so they're beginning to do that. And that's also a challenge because you have the existing population that's in a corporate environment, like here in the Miami area, who are used to a certain style and a certain environment that now have to sort of integrate with this new sort of, how do you leverage talent somewhere else, or new set of new I guess players in the game, right? So I think that that's also something that you have to do in a certain way to make it a positive experience for both groups, right? And one of the things that I will say, especially with one of the clients that I'm working with now, they have done so many, they have done large and small mergers and acquisitions within the last 2 or 3 years that I've been a key part of. And so they're very good at bringing in new sort of small companies and merging them into their culture. So I think that they're going to be really successful at making this happen and growing and expanding into what the future of work is going to look like.
Yeah. And
I need to apologize because I'm a fast speaker. So if I'm, you need to tell me and I'll stop.
I am too. So, and we've talked a lot about, your experience, but what does TEK Partners actually do? In a broader sense for their customer base?
Well, TEK Partner really sources, they provide talent and solutions, technology and people solutions to companies that are trying to do projects, whether they're technical projects or business related projects. They provide the talent.
Okay, so it's basically a big, a consultant house.
Absolutely, yes.
For whatever that customer happens to need, but it sounds like a lot of it's technology related because of the name, right?
Yeah, a lot of it is technology. Some of it is business. They have a variety of talent across the board.
And just out of curiosity, have you always lived in Miami, or is that something recent?
Well, it's not recent. I've been here now quite some time, but I grew up from New York. I'm from New York, but I lived, I've worked, I lived in San Francisco, and then I lived in Mexico City, Mexico for quite some time. And I worked through all of Latin America, worked with organizations like MasterCard, where I led a team that was across the Americas. So I've had the opportunity to work in country in Brazil, El Salvador, Argentina, Mexico. So that's been a great experience. So I'm very accustomed, and for me, it's normal to have an integrated team that includes a workforce that includes both remote, internal, and external talent.
And so knowing all that, where do you think it's going now? Because I don't know if you know, San Francisco's supposedly, or California's opening up 100% in 8 days.
I know.
Theoretically, everybody can come back to work. And Florida you're in Florida. Florida is already open, right? So
we never closed, right? So,
right. So are you, are people going, are they doing the 9 to 5? Or are they doing more of the hybrid thing?
I think some companies are going to keep doing the hybrid thing. Many, again, will be traditional. But I do think a lot of companies are leveraging the change that they experience to sort of have a smaller footprint because it's less cost. and leverage having the talent external.
Mm.
And then having a specific talent, because that I think is one of the benefits. If you have a particular project, you may not have that in-house talent, but you can get it in one day if you call TEK Partners or a competitor, and you can get that talent in-house immediately. So I think that there's going to be a lot of that. I think the other side of it, which I guess as a society, we'll have to sort of look at how we manage it. But I think, what I'm hearing from a lot of new talent that's out there is that they're in an environment where they're working for more than one client at a time sometimes, and having to work out sort of those kind of contracts and agreements of how do you do that where it's not a competitor. But they're not focused on being in a particular company and being there forever and having that whole branding. They're just more focused on being able to have the flexibility and the ability to build their skills. And so I think that this new change is going to make that possible. It's going to open up the doors to make that happen. And I'm sure you've heard that Miami is now open and is trying to take over Silicon Valley. So, which I don't know if that'll ever happen, but they're trying to become the new Silicon Valley. So we now have this influx of a lot of new technology companies that are coming into Florida. So that's going to be interesting to see what happens here.
Yes, and it is real. There are a lot of people leaving California, and Florida is one of the common destinations.
Exactly.
I can tell you, I mean, it's funny because my son is a software developer.
He's one of those, right?
Well, in the last year, he's lived in New York, San Francisco, Austin, and now he's in Colorado Springs.
All the beautiful places, right?
Yes, I'm waiting for him to say, Dad, I'm moving to Florida. That's the next one. Or actually, I think the next one will be, Dad, I'm moving to Asia. Okay.
Well, there you go. That's excellent. No, I think that's just going to be the norm. And with technology now, like that's what it's all about. I think that the important thing for leaders and even employees, like to make it work, which is what I think made it really successful during this whole couple of months, is, constant communication, have communication. And, as a leader, you have to trust your employees are doing what they need to do. If they're turning out the results you need, you don't have to be worried, are they online? Are they not online? Or, like that's just, you have to like sort of get that out of the way, right? And focus on what's being delivered and that everybody's in sync, and you have to sort of, make it happen. Although there are challenges, some employees, sort of thrive in an environment where they're on, and physically working together. But there's a way to do it, to mix, to leverage both ecosystems at once.
Yeah, no, and I think it actually puts the emphasis more on management, because before the people would be in the office and you'd see them. I mean, they could be playing video games on their computer for all you know.
But you thought they were there. They're here. So
it really puts the emphasis on the management to make sure that they're keeping them busy and keeping them, connected, is it, for lack of a better term.
Exactly. And then focus on the outcomes, right? That's what you need to focus on. And then if you're a good leader, then you have to just also be really, because this is something I had to do for myself, is, before TEK Systems, before this, like when you work as a consultant and you're working offline and you're working in your own home environment, you forget to go home because you haven't commuted. So you can get into burning out because you're working all crazy hours, so that's one of the things as a good leader, you have to make sure your teams understand, like, hey, there's work, and then there's, you take you go home. Don't forget to go home in your home, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I'm the same. I mean, I've been working from home for over 10 years, and before COVID, I would work and then I would go to the gym because it's as opposed to going into the office and then coming home. It's like, okay, now I'm done with work. Now I go out and the rest of my life starts.
Absolutely. No, that's exactly right. Exactly.
Yeah. But it took me a while to figure that out, because then, after you've been in your home for 3 or 4 straight days, you're like, wow, I should get out.
Well, I made it a point to, because I used to do the gym as well. And then obviously the gym was closed. So then I thought, okay, well, I'll go for walks, and I am a Walking Dead fan. I love the Walking Dead. So I was loving it, going out there, and there was nobody out there. Felt like you were part of the Walking Dead. So it was actually really fun. And then I made it a really good thing, doing a whole bunch of walks, and I would track them and post them on Instagram. So it became fun for me. And so I kept it up. I didn't do the COVID-20, thank God.
Yes. Well, it's funny because I was on my way to it, and then I'm very fortunate. I
Mhm.
live 500 yards from the San Francisco Bay.
Oh my God,
So I
fabulous.
literally in 3 minutes I'm looking at one of the most beautiful places in the world. So
Mhm,
I
mhm.
learned to walk a lot over the last year.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Mm,
And that's what I did. Miami Beach is really fun that way,
that's
so
true.
it worked
Miami
out.
is also
Mhm.
very nice. A lot of
Yes,
water where
yes.
you live.
Absolutely.
Yes. So, well, Oria, did I get that right?
Yes, you did.
I got it right.
Mhm,
It's been great talking to you. I know it's late where you are. I know it's
mhm.
probably past dinner time where you are. So I want to wish you a good night and a good rest of the week. And thank you for joining us today.
No, thank you. I really appreciate it. Have a good one.
Thank you. You too.
Take care. Bye-bye.